The United States imports most of its fruit from Southern Hemisphere producers like Peru and from groves such as this one in South Africa. It's South Africa's biggest agricultural export, with citrus products destined for the U.S. alone accounting for $132 million in 2022. We are here in Citrusdale, a town in the Western Cape that's home to around 200 farms. It's also the only fruit-producing region in South Africa with direct access to the U.S. market.
Valley, we're very much European based. So Europe is our biggest market, then the U.S. But the U.S. takes our premium product. So we send our best product to the USA to make sure we get our premium price.
Imagine this. Tariffs meant to protect United States farmers end up backfiring, while farms thousands of miles away in South Africa are cashing in big time. As prices soar and markets shrink for American producers, South African exporters are swooping in, capturing global buyers and turning challenges into opportunity. How did a policy designed to strengthen United States agriculture end up helping another country? Stay tuned, because the trade twist shaking the global farming world might surprise you.
In a dramatic twist in global trade, a series of tariffs introduced by the United States administration has shaken agricultural markets worldwide. Initially designed to protect domestic industries, these tariffs have produced unintended consequences for farmers at home, while opening unexpected opportunities for South African agriculture. What was pitched as a means to strengthen the United States farm economy has instead stirred up economic pain for many producers, even as South African producers find themselves gaining ground in global markets. This is the full story behind how United States tariff policy backfired, and how South Africa's farms are cashing in on changed trade dynamics. The United States implemented a broad set of tariffs on imports from several major trading partners, including Canada, Mexico, China, and others, as part of a strategy aimed at reducing trade deficits and protecting domestic producers. These tariffs ranged from 20% to 30% or more on goods entering the United States market. While the intent was to stimulate domestic output and rebalance trade, the effect on agriculture, one of the most globally interconnected sectors, has been counterintuitive and, for many producers, economically painful. For farmers in the United States, the tariff strategy has been particularly disruptive. Retaliatory tariffs from Canada, China, and other major agricultural markets have made key American exports more expensive and less competitive abroad, leading to lost market share and reduced demand. As a result, exporters of soybeans, wheat, corn, and other staples have struggled to find buyers at competitive prices. Analysts and farm associations warn that higher input costs, including for fertilizers and equipment sourced from tariff-hit countries, have further squeezed margins. Indeed, recent reporting shows that export volumes of United States agricultural goods to China, a historically major buyer, remain suppressed after years of trade tensions. This decline is part of a broader loss of global market share. Farmers have reported shrinking orders, depressed crop prices, and an increasingly uncertain outlook, feeding into calls for renewed trade negotiations and support measures from the federal government. While some agricultural export categories in the United States, such as corn, have remained strong due to record planting and yields, other sectors like soybeans have seen sharp declines in foreign sales. Compounding these issues, domestic livestock numbers have hit long-term lows, exerting upward pressure on meat prices and raising concerns about future competitiveness. Amid these challenges, global agricultural markets have reconfigured. Producers in other nations, particularly those not subject to the same tariff barriers, have stepped into markets once dominated by the United States. Brazil, for example, has emerged as a dominant soy exporter, capitalizing on rising global demand as American exports faltered. Analysts point to significant increases in Brazilian soy exports to major importers such as China, where Brazil's share of the market has soared above that of the United States. South African agriculture, while facing its own tariff hurdles with the United States, has also managed to adapt and, in some respects, benefit from shifting trade patterns. In the lead-up to new tariffs, South African producers aggressively shipped agricultural goods to the United States, taking advantage of a temporary tariff reprieve and strong harvests. In the second quarter of 2025, agricultural exports from South Africa to the United States rose by roughly 26%, reaching about $161 million. evidence of robust demand that preceded full tariff implementation. South Africa's agricultural export portfolio includes citrus fruits, grapes, apples, pears, nuts, and wine. These products have historically enjoyed duty-free access to the United States market under preferential trade programs, making them competitive and attractive to importers. Even as tariffs were introduced, many exporters expedited shipments to beat higher duties, boosting short-term export figures beyond that temporary surge. South African producers have benefited from a broader diversification of export markets. With uncertainty around access to the United States market, exporters have sought opportunities in the European Union, Asia, the Middle East, and regional African markets, reducing dependence on any single trading partner and enhancing resilience. Data show that in the first 3 quarters of 2025, major regional and international markets absorbed a large share of South African agricultural shipments, helping sustain overall export. This diversification has been crucial because the United States tariffs, especially steep duties around 30% on many South African goods, have reshaped export economics. While the tariffs were intended to protect United States producers, they have made many South African products more expensive in the American market, presenting both challenges and incentives for exporters to find new outlets. Even with tariff barriers in place, South Africa's agricultural sector has displayed a notable degree of resilience. Strong harvests, competitive quality, and established distribution channels have supported sustained demand in non-American markets, helping offset tariff-induced pressure. Exporters of fruit, wine, and nuts have worked aggressively to secure contracts outside the United States, often leveraging logistical improvements and regional trade partnerships to expand their reach. The broader lesson from this complex trade shakeup is that tariff policy can have far-reaching and sometimes unexpected effects. In the United States, tariffs aimed at protecting farmers and domestic production have instead constrained market access and raised costs for producers already facing tight margins, leading to calls for policy recalibration. At the same time, South African agriculture has shown adaptability and strategic growth by finding new customers, diversifying export destinations, and capitalizing on short-term windows of tariff reprieve. Economists point out that when major economies impose reciprocal tariffs, global agricultural trade can contract, reducing overall demand and output in sectors that rely on international exchange. This contraction can depress producer incomes in tariff-imposing countries and shrink market opportunities. In practical terms, this means that while some South African producers feel the pain of higher duties in the United States, others have been able to grow their international footprint. The immediate tariff pressure has spurred a reevaluation of trade strategies and accelerated efforts to access markets in Europe, Asia, and Africa, which together account for significant portions of South Africa's export flows. In the final analysis, the outcome of the tariff conflict reveals a nuanced picture. South African agriculture, facing obstacles from new duties, responded with urgency and strategic positioning that led to export growth in diverse markets, and even short-term gains in the United States before tariffs took full effect. At the same time, many United States farmers experienced reduced access to key markets, rising costs, and heightened competition abroad, undercutting the very protections tariff policy was supposed to provide. Summary: what began as protective tariff policy from the United States ended up reshaping agricultural trade in unexpected ways. Instead of strengthening United States farming, tariffs have strained producers and opened opportunities for exporters elsewhere. In response, South African agriculture has adapted by diversifying markets and leveraging competitive strengths, illustrating how global trade dynamics can turn challenges into new avenues for growth. The result is clear. South African farms are capturing market share as the United States deals with the unintended consequences of tariff policy, a striking outcome in today's global agricultural landscape.